Hello, welcome to another episode of On the Floor with Wayne and Rob. I'm Wayne Highlander, Director of Sales for Bone Adhesives.
And I'm Rob Johnson from Bona Training, and I'm not drinking anything right now.
Good. Appreciate the not interrupting this time. Rob, how we doing?
Pretty good.
Oh, wait, you asked me how I'm doing?
Yeah, I asked you how you were doing.
God, I always feel so special when you ask me because you never do. So I always have to ask you what you're doing. Like I really care what's going on.
You know something? That is a habit I have to break.
Yeah,
that's
all
a bad
about
habit
you.
of mine. It's always all about me.
It is, yeah.
Yeah, like I'll say to Pauline, "Hey, I saw Pete today," and she's like, "Oh, how are the kids?" And I'm like, "I don't know. How how's his parents doing? I don't know.
Yeah.
I didn't. I really was just. I saw
Mm.
Pete and I was talking about me.
Yeah. Always bring it back to me.
Always bringing it back to me. Yeah.
Yeah, but since you asked, I'm doing good. I was a lot of travel last week. I was in Portland. I learned a couple things, Rob, on my trip. And I had to I changed my flight, so it was kind of a last minute change of flights. And you're sitting there, and when I guess it's a pet peeve of mine. I seem like I have a lot of them when it comes to flying. Although I never complain on a flight ever.
Are you saying that your only pet peeves are just when you're traveling?
No, but I seem to have a lot of flight
You have
pet peeves.
yeah, you gotta.
Because I think you see the worst of people on a flight. You know what I mean? They at the beginning of when they started to call everybody said, "Okay, we're getting ready to board the plane. If you need special assistance, you can board now." I'm judging everybody that walks down that aisle. Everybody. You know what I mean?
I am too.
I'm like, come on, man, what's really wrong with you? You know, you can walk.
I am too.
Okay. But what I really judge is when you're the guy who's walking with the guy who has a problem. You know what I mean? Like you're together, you're going to the same place, but that guy's got the problem, not the clown that's going down the aisle. What makes you? I would never be the guy checking the boarding passes at the planes because I go, no.
No.
No. You're nothing wrong with you. You get your ass back in B12. You know what I mean? So that's a bit of a problem for me. Or also when they say if you're traveling with minors, and this kid is 12 years old if he's a day, a homeboy can get down that plane by himself.
Anybody 5 or below, that's a minor. Everybody else.
Yeah, you're on your own with the rest of us.
Mm-hmm.
And then I got to Portland, and I was at a stoplight, and the stoplight was, I had to go through it twice. So it was probably a total of 5 minutes that I waited at the stoplight, right? And I'm watching a homeless guy, God bless him, and shaky as, this dude was shaking all over the place. Like, I mean, he was a very, obviously homeless dude, the way he was dressing and whatever, and had scruffy, obviously had some problems. But dude put that tent up in like 2 minutes. You ever try to put a pup tent up by yourself? Last time
not in a long time.
Last time I try to put a tent up, I had like extra poles left over. I'm cussing it. I'm throwing the box, looking in the box for extra poles. This dude put that tent up in like 2 minutes. He's probably, every sign that he was a drug addict. I started questioning, what's wrong with me, man? I always bring it back to me. Like, what's wrong with me, man?
Of course you do. Yeah.
That I can't even put a tent together. Look at this dude just did it like with all the problems he's got going on. So anyhow, that was my flight.
I think for the tent guy, it's like when you and I are teaching somebody how to pull a T-bar. We've been pulling a T-bar forever. So when we get up and we start pulling a T-bar and showing somebody else, we make it look very easy. The tent guy, he's setting this thing up every single day. So he could do it with his eyes closed.
He's got a fair amount of handicaps, though. You know what I mean? With the drug thing.
Well, look at you and I. We have a fair amount, too, and we can still pull that T-bar.
Well, true.
You might not have the physical, but you definitely have the mental.
What's that supposed to mean? I told you about the homeless guy in Nashville holding up a sign at the intersection when you get off the freeway. had no shirt on, and he had a six pack like no other. He was built like George Foreman. You know what I mean? He had a big, nice six pack and everything, big, strong looking dude. And I was thinking, how's that dude out of work? As strong and healthy as he is, look at me, fat slob. You know what I mean? He looks better than I do.
So now,
Life isn't fair, Rob.
you're comparing yourself to shirtless homeless people now.
Yeah,
Boy, that's taking a turn for the worst, huh?
yeah, yeah. Sorry about that.
I mean, I thought once they made you director, you'd stop thinking like that. But
Well, there's two ways to look at it. See, that's what makes me, good. I'm competitive. I'm competing. I'm
you're
competing
competitive,
with
but you're
a
losing
drug
to
addict.
shirtless homeless guys.
Yeah.
You can't
just-
set up a tent.
It
You
just
don't
occurred
have
to
the
me.
six pack. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh well. All right, Rob. What you got?
I don't know. What are we talking about today?
We're talking about oscillating Sanders.
Oh, I'll tell you.
A deeper dive.
A deep dive. Here's a magazine. Mike Dittmer gave me this.
Yep.
The name of this magazine is Taunton's, Tauntons, Fine Woodworking. I started looking up some of their articles, from past, past magazines.
Mm-hmm.
Unbelievable. I'm subscribing to this thing. And I was reading an article in there that Dittmer turned me on to about sanding with a random orbital sander versus sanding with a block sander, hand sanding.
Okay. So
I was amazed when I found out.
Before you go any further, so that's the first time you were amazed when you saw that magazine. There's something nice about being uneducated.
You see, this is why Pete wants to beat the out of you. It's comments like that.
That magazine's been out.
Pete Sherman hears that stuff. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
I laugh it off. He's
taking it personal. He's in a.
Yeah.
He's in a.
It's like you hit me. He feels the pain.
He's hitting a heavy bag somewhere. Thinking about me.
Oh, he's looking buff too. Now that he's retired, he's looking strong.
Well, that magazine's been out forever, but I love it when you just first discover something that everybody else has known about for 60 years. I believe me, I'm guilty of the same thing. It's usually with some kind of a electrical gadget that's been out. I go, holy smokes, did you know these? I go, yeah, every door has locks. But yeah, go do tell. I interrupted you.
That's all right. I don't even know what I was talking about.
Yes, you said something about oscillating versus sanding straight on.
The random orbital sander versus hand sanding with a block sander. And they did a whole article about it. But the article was everything they did, they put under a microscope. And it's called an SEM, which stands for Scanning Electron Microscope. So everything they did, whatever they were doing, they would chop off a tiny little piece and then slip it under this microscope and really go to town on this. So I just sent you some notes of what I read. Yeah, I read it. Couldn't believe it. Wow, I don't do a lot of reading. You know me, I'm not a reader.
Look at the big brain. Look at the big brain on you.
Yeah, look at me. Right. I even made notes too. I felt like I was writing a report in the 7th grade.
Wow. See, the teacher told you that was going to come in handy.
See, I would just, read it and then copy down what I read.
Yeah. There you go.
Yeah. Even I don't even know if I wrote see illustration on page 59. I might have wrote that down too.
Why didn't you just copy and paste? So you don't have to do it like that.
I was trying to do that. I'm not good at that.
It's okay.
Yeah. All right. You know what? I'm not sure how to copy and paste.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
We should edit that out for your own.
No. Don't edit that out.
Okay.
D has taught me, I don't know, 5 times, and it just hasn't. It's like algebra. I had to take algebra 2 years in a row, And then in like the first quarter of the third year, I'm a junior in high school, in with a freshman algebra class, and then it hit me like the cloud opened up. You know what I mean?
Wow.
And like I understood algebra, and then transferred into geometry and transferred out about 2 weeks later. Like, nah, I'm good.
There's
I'm good with the algebra.
there's some advantage of being an upperclassman with all freshmen, isn't there?
No,
No?
no, not if you have good hearing. No,
Hmm.
there's no advantage to it at all.
Huh. What if D gave you a cookie every time you tried it and it was successful? Do you think that would have helped? Like some kind of like
I really don't think it would.
hmm,
Yeah.
okay. Just trying to see what gets through you.
Listen, you get, I'm 60 something years old. There's a lot of knowledge up here, and there's not a lot of room left. I got to start purging.
It's interesting. So there's a lot going in, but not a lot coming back out.
No, it goes through.
Oh,
It just
okay.
whistles through. Ask Pauline. Right through. So I sleep well at night. I know what I know. That's it.
Yeah. Yeah.
We're good.
All right.
I don't have to
Okay.
think about stuff. Yeah.
Continue on. Or is that all you got?
Scanning. Did I talk about the scanning electron
Yeah.
microscope?
Yeah.
Unbelievable. Now, a lot of things that I was reading in this is a lot of things that we preach during schools. Okay. Like when you're going to another grit, you're done with your 36, you're jumping to your 50.
Mm-hmm.
And we tell everybody, yeah, you got to clean the floor before you do that. Well, now I know why we're telling people to clean the floor. Because when you're sanding, you're shoving grits, little pieces of grit that falls off the sandpaper, and dust. You're packing it down into the pores of the wood. So then when your next piece of sandpaper travels over that, it can't get down into that scratch because of all that stuff that's impacted.
So I think that's a very important point. Um, very important point. And so I'm maybe even say that again. So it's the open grain in the wood, especially like a red oak or what have you, that the all the debris from the sanding grits and all the dust gets impacted into that grain. So the next grit of sandpaper can't even really get down to where it needs to get down to.
Yes.
Okay, beautiful, beautiful.
I mean, come on.
That's pretty
It
cool.
showed it under the microscope.
Yeah.
And I'm constantly telling the people in the class, yep, we got, hey, in between grits, you got to vacuum it off, to the point where sometimes I'm like, it's just a coarse grit. Don't worry about it. Think about what I just said.
You think about it.
I'm telling you to think about
okay,
it.
sorry, I got competitive
If
there.
we don't make a big deal about the first cut, right? Our first cut, whether it's 36 or 50, or whatever you use for your first cut, whatever it's up. If we don't clean that first one out, that is going to be the deepest scratch left.
I love that. I really
Huh?
do.
Come on, give it to me.
Yeah, that's good stuff. Because we always say, you got to vacuum between passes or whatever, but to be able to look at it under a microscope at what 200 times or whatever and see that the grain is getting impacted with all that stuff, and you can't even get down there with the other sandpaper, and there's the other grit in it, by the way, that's also putting excessive scratches in your floors. That's good stuff, Rob.
This show's over. That's it. We're
Yeah.
done.
Thank
It's
you and
over.
good night.
Drop the mic.
That's
I'm
good.
reading this going, we try to talk theory a lot. We try to talk theory a lot, right? And, when you started, they hand you an edger and paper and said, just get over there and go back and forth. No real theory behind it. Well, I kind of felt that way. Now I feel that way because in classes I'm saying, hey, in between grits, back it off. Keep that deck clean. But now that I have a real, the theory behind why, not just to keep it clean, but that dust impacted those grits, impacted block
You
the
know
next set
why?
of grits going through. I'm blown away.
Here's why I love stuff like this, and why it's important to do these things is that, I mean, we sand and finish. It's in our description. Okay. So sanding is a key step that when it turns raw wood into an investment piece. You know what I mean? That adds value to your home. So we're doing it day in and day out, day in and day out. This makes you an expert. You know what I mean at it. So when you talk to the clients or whatever, if a client told me this, I'd be like, holy smokes! I thought you just sand the floor, you rub sandpaper across the floor, and you go the other sandpaper. But when you put it like this, now you're on another level. You're on another plane.
Yes.
So this is very interesting to me, Rob. Legitimately so. Sometimes I tell you it is, and it's not. But this is very interesting to me. I'm going to go back and read
Sometimes,
that article.
you might even read the bullets that I sent you. Maybe
That would that would be cool. Yeah.
that would, yeah. I love it sometimes when you make me feel like a mascot. I love that. Way
All
to go,
right.
Rob. You
So
figured something out.
what about what about the orbital action versus a sanding straight up and down action, like with a hand sanding?
All right. A random orbital clocks out at 12,000 RPMs. It's not spinning at 12,000 RPMs, but because it spins and oscillates,
Mm-hmm.
that little orbit, that little
Mm-hmm.
oscillation counts like tenfold to just a regular grinder circle, spinning around like an edger,
Okay, interesting.
3,200
Yeah.
RPMs.
Yep.
Random orbital, because of that clocks out to 12,000 RPMs.
Hmm. That's why it's important not to put a lot of pressure on it, so it allows it to do that.
Exactly.
Okay.
Because it is doing so much more. The thing though, it doesn't feel like it, right?
Not to the
It does
average man.
it You got that nice sensitive light touch. Is that what
Mm-hmm.
you're saying?
Yeah.
Yeah. You're very touchy feely. You're very tender. Yeah.
Very little else going for me, Rob.
Right. It's those soft hands. You'd have been a good forward in hockey.
Okay, get out of here now. Getting
Yeah.
I'm
So
looking.
that's what's going on with the random orbital sander. Now, the other thing, when you're running that random orbital, you don't do one of these. You don't go back and forth. People will run the random orbital
Mm-hmm.
like they were running a
Block
hand
plane.
sander block or a
Yeah.
block,
Yep.
sanding block. Well, when you run the random orbital
Mm-hmm.
like that, now you've turned your random orbital into a block sander.
You might as well flush it down the toilet if that's what you're going to do.
You might as well not even turn it on,
Yeah.
right? Just use that because it's
Yeah.
going to hold the paper
So
a little
how
bit
should they
better.
do it?
Nice and straight, nice and easy, nice and level, nice and slow. Nice and straight. Keep it straight. Don't heel it like you would heel a buffer to grind something out or whatever,
Yep.
because you got to remember she's spinning at 12,000 RPMs. Edger, you think how Edger, 3,200 RPM. Now when you're talking about a random orbital, that's 12,000, just because of the way that it orbits and spins at the same time. So you want to, no pressure, just holding it down, no heavy hand pressure, nice and straight, don't heel it. And when you run it like that, it definitely makes a huge difference. And I kind of noticed that I used Bum got the Fest tool, and I
Yep.
started playing, because he said, "Oh yeah, I don't know what he paid, $400 or something for the for the random orbital. I was laughing at him like, you got to be kidding me, right? Seriously.
Yeah.
I go, I can buy for what the 400 you spent, I could buy 10. And he goes, just really stop talking and use it. And
Yeah.
yeah. So I did use it and I was like, okay, you're right. This is an amazing tool. I know, you know, I know we're not sponsored by Festool, but I had to give the shout out for it. You're a Festool guy, right?
I am. Yeah, and they're incredible. Festivals are, I mean, they're just they're fantastic tools. It seems like everything Festool makes is a good tool. And you're right, we're not sponsored by them, but in fact, yeah, but they do make great tools. Um, when we started, you're saying we're going to talk about sanding. I was thinking about. I thought we were going to kind of go a different direction, and I started thinking about all the different sanding attachments that are out there right now, and different ways that we didn't necessarily have in the past, or guys didn't use. Those small multi-tool with the corners detail on them, come in kind of handy with a triangular shaped for getting in corners and what have you. But
Are you mocking me?
no. Why would I mock you? I mean, I would mock you, but no, I'm just being dead serious.
All right. You know what? It must the railing on my back deck, it's a 2x12. Everything I build, you could rest a tank on.
Okay.
When I build something,
Mm-hmm.
that's it. So all the kids and everybody laughed at me because the top railing of mine is a flat 2x12. So I noticed the other day, geez, it's getting kind of rough. And I was using a random orbital sander. And I remember Bum saying to me one day, yeah, I, use the attachment for my multi-tool. So I had one, put it on, did it.
Mm-hmm.
I was blown away by how good that worked.
Oh, no kidding.
I was amazed.
Yep.
I was amazed. So I guess whenever I'm amazed at something, we're going to do a show about it.
There you go.
Like the last show.
Yeah. Well, you're amazed that.
Yeah. Like I'm amazed that they have a magazine like this.
Yeah.
I'm amazed. You know what? They write articles too about, stuff that we do.
You're like a chicken. Every day is a brand new day.
51st dates. Exactly.
Yeah.
I wake up, it's a brand. Wow. Look at that. An iPhone. Huh.
Yeah.
Who would have thought?
Go figure.
Yeah.
But
I couldn't agree more with using a multi-tool. Wow. And I know what you're thinking. Really? 2x12, 32 feet long with the multi-tool? I was flying.
Yeah.
I was flying. How flat? Oh man. Yeah. Couldn't agree more.
Well, I think also the pneumatic sanders for getting between spindles, you get them like a 2-inch diameter. So for everybody has a compressor on a job anyhow, usually. So for getting between spindles and whatever for around stairs, those things are just huge. Just hook them up to your compressor. Zzz, zzz, pneumatic, small diameter, off you go. They work great.
Remember the old days?
Yes. Well, speaking of scrapers, I'm very particular about my scrapers because I don't like any flex in the handle of a scraper. I don't like any bend at all. I don't like a lot of these plastic ones because when I put force on it, I don't want you lose some of the force in the bend. So I like a wooden one that you get all the pressure. You're not losing any of the pressure when you put it down on the scraper. It's doing all the work. But yeah, when I did my my floor upstairs, I use the bench sander. Comes in very, very handy. So on a job, sometimes if it's the right job, planers.
Wait a minute. Did you say the floor upstairs?
I didn't want to say it. Yeah, I didn't want to.
Can you hear the music?
The floor of the year.
Floor of the year. You hear the music? You hear it?
It's just as loud as it always has been.
I love that.
That's crazy.
I love that song.
Yeah, thank you.
Have you worn your belt buckle out anywhere yet?
I have not. I wear it in the house. But now,
Just the belt and the belt buckle, nothing else. You walk in,
yeah,
here you go.
yeah, and a crop shirt. That's it. No, but I have it on my shelf. I have it on my shelf next to the trophy. So
The head the head trophy.
no, the Floor of the Year trophy. Sorry.
Oh, Florida trophy.
Yeah,
Oh,
I
I
just
thought you were talking about
the other
your
one that
European Swedish award trophy.
yeah,
What's the name of that award?
only one on 5 continents award.
Yeah. Yep.
Um,
That one. Yep.
well, I don't want to bore people with that. But
Nah, that's all right.
all
Actually,
right.
I've been seeing who they've been giving that award to the last few years, and it's like, they're really watering that down, aren't they?
You better be careful. All righty.
You know, I kid, Wayne. I kid.
Of course, I know.
We're just fooling around.
Yeah, all right.
Yeah, like I wouldn't accept that award.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Exactly.
As if.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's very interesting on that, Rob, on the oscillating sander.
Oh, but we're not done.
Oh, you got more. Good, good.
Oh, we're not done.
I'm sorry, I went into my stuff because I thought you were out of bullets.
No, I think no.
Okay.
One of the other things that they did say about the random orbital sander is it does create a dangerous airborne fine particulate. That dust floats longer in the air than a coarser one. So definitely you want to be wearing a mask. And of course, nothing works better on hooking your random orbital sander up to a PDC 2.0 with dual HEPA filters. The Bonavac system, HEPA filters, if you're not selling that, you're just leaving money on the table. But, when I started to read about that dust that the random orbitals create, and I would definitely be rigging that into my 2.0 for sure.
You know something, Rob, on a serious note? I somebody I know I've known for 30 years now. You look at the guy, great shape. I mean, super good shape. Active his whole life. Just found out last week he has lung cancer,
Oh,
and he smoked for 30 years. And he has to, I mean, it's how serious that is. So I tell you, man, and I mean, this guy should live another. Gosh, he's healthy as can be. He's in shape. He's not overweight. He's been active his whole life. He's got a great wife. He just retired, maybe a year and a half ago, and has some symptoms or whatever. Went and just found out he has lung cancer. So the reason I say these things is, we all think we're bulletproof until we're not. Using dust masks for the all the years we do this, every day we're going to a place, you're breathing dust for 8 hours a day, 5 days a week, sometimes longer, whatever. Man, and I know it's hard to create habits and everything, but you just got to look out for your health, because it's like you got it or you don't. And as soon as you don't, your life is just changed. So, do be careful and take care of your health and do these things. Your ear protection, wear good knee pads. This trade, can beat the hell out of you. It's tough on you. You're not meant to be crawling around on your knees for 30 years of your life. It all takes a toll. Father Time, you look at the toughest guys you'll ever see in your life, and you can't beat Father Time. So do take care of yourselves and watch out for yourself and everything. And so wearing respirators and all that. I don't want to get on too much about this, but anyhow, just make sure you do take that into consideration.
When's the last time you sanded a floor without a vac system on an edger or a buffer?
Oh, last week. No. No, I couldn't even
Mm.
imagine using an edger anymore without dust containment. I don't think you could pay me. I mean, it's just there's so much. I can tell you, I remember the job that we first hooked up to the bonus super vac. I mean, it was night and day, night and day. And then from there, we went to the same thing. We running on our big Sanders dust containment, and I never looked back. I don't know how you do it without it. So there's great
Well,
systems out
we
there.
did a training at a union hall, and my equipment didn't show up, so we were kind of using the union equipment, and they didn't have anything for dust containment for the buffer.
Hmm.
Now I'm in a huge hall. I mean, we're in a big room, not a little bedroom, right? And there we are, buffing with nothing. This was a few weeks ago. Buffing a floor, final, with the, I was using the multi disc. Oh my God, I couldn't
Yeah,
believe it.
yeah,
I mean, when you're so used to using it now
yeah,
and you have to go back, I almost stopped and said, all right, we can't do this.
yeah.
We got to figure something out. This is insanity. Okay.
Hmm.
This is, look at the dust. It's getting everywhere. Everywhere.
Yep.
It was crazy. I'm passing out masks and everything. Yeah. What an amazing invention that's turned into. And like I said, I don't think I could ever go back to not using dust containment.
Yep. 100%. Yeah, I mean it's an upsell. It's we talked about that on the other episode and whatever, and but mainly it's the quality of how you're going to spend that day for 8 hours or however long you're on that job times however many days, months, years you're going to be in this trade. So
Another thing that the article was saying, and there was two guys who were running all this. One guy was a scientist, and the other guy was like a doctor.
like
He
me and
was a
you,
guy. Yeah, an award winner and a person who doesn't win a lot of awards, cooking awards.
there you go.
Um, so one of the things that they said also, and I love this because I'm the king of doing this. They just use light pencil marks where they're going to sand. I know like using the rubber crayon and
Hmm.
marking out the whole floor and everything, but for the random orbital, I don't think a lot of people mark when they're using a random orbital,
Hmm.
and they just said take a lumber pencil or carpenter's pencil, and just put light marks on there, and when that mark is gone, you're done. Just nice, easy, smooth, right over that mark.
Puts that graphite down into deep into that scratch, so you know it.
Nice light. Yeah.
Yep. Nice.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah.
Another thing I talked about, and I've heard people talking about this. Have you ever raised the grain before you do your final sanding?
Let me think about this now.
I've heard people talk
No,
about it.
I think we've tried to do that or whatever we fooled around with, and we got away from it. But I will tell you something about raising the grain on after the first sanding. But you go ahead first.
Well, they're saying to do it before your final sanding.
Hmm.
So if I was, 36, 50, 80, and then going to hit it with a multi-disc 120, you would, when you're done 80ing, water pop the floor, let it dry, and then screen it or multi-disc it.
That
And they
that
said that eliminates a lot of grain raise for when you're using the water-based sealers. But I don't know if I'm good with that.
so that's an old woodworker's tip that if you're doing on a table that like is the one I'm right here and it's a 3 foot by 5 foot. I could see doing that, and they do that like after every pass. They like he can. In fact, they'll do it several times. Some of them on really fine furniture, but I don't know. I think with the to your point about the Tampico brush and everything, if you're doing those type of things in today's sealer, especially the way ours are braid, I don't think I would put that time into it on that.
Yeah, I mean that was the first thing that I was thinking is, so I'm going to water pop the floor And then,
Yeah.
sometimes how long I've seen water pop floors take 2-3 hours to dry.
Hmm.
You're gonna hang out for 2 or 3 hours where, you know, especially now, like you said, we're using Tampico brushes, we're using multi discs, we're using the black paper and not screens, we're burnishing more than we used to and not shredding. So, I mean, they kind of recommended that. I don't know if I'm down with that. Our floors are pretty smooth at a lot
Hmm.
of our schools,
I,
just
I,
from our regular process.
yep. I will say this though. You can make an argument after you make your first pass with the big machine with like a common grade wood, especially that you water pop it right after that pass and water pop it heavy. That any wind shake that you might have would make come up at that time, and you replace it then until when you get to the end of the job.
Okay, that I get. Yeah. So, what made you stop doing it?
I stopped doing floors.
No, you said you did it for a little while.
Yeah, to because I was reading those woodworking magazines and stuff
Went back in the
back.
80s.
Like, yeah, that's a 30-year-old article, by the way. No, kidding. No, but I was reading a lot of woodworking magazines because it related to floors and everything. And talking to woodworkers, I know that's a common thing that they do, is that they water pop before and then they sand it, then they coat it. And I've tried it, so I just don't think with today's finishes and techniques and the higher RPMs and the different things we have going today, I don't think it's necessary today.
No, I don't. I agree. Um, Last thing I got here. What do you think the ratio is for um, scratches? What do you think the ratio is between using a random orbital sander and a hand sander? Number of scratches
Oh,
ratio.
oh, I would think you would be just way more scratches with the orbital than the hand sanding, like way more.
They said it's close to 100 to 1.
No kidding.
Yeah,
Wow.
and that's why the random orbital looks so much better than just regular hand sanding
No kidding.
because there's so many more scratches that hides more. The more it's not just one scratch you're looking at.
Hmm.
Trying to look at 100
Yeah,
in the same small area.
that's interesting.
You know why we're doing this about random orbital sanding?
Why?
Because I have been so against the random orbital sander.
Well, I have too.
I tell everybody in the classes, look, if you do a good enough job with your buffer on the edges and edging, you really don't need to use a random orbital sander. You're wasting your time. Well, I don't know. There's a lot of people out there doing some amazing work and they use a random orbital on everything. My son is included in that, so I'm gonna have to give it up to the random orbital sanding guys.
Well, be aware that, a lot of people feel like, okay, if it's a natural finish floor, I really don't have to orbital sand anything because it's not going to show. But sometimes over time, that finish can age and show up later where you wouldn't think it would. So there's that. And when I say I was against the orbital sander, I'm different than you. Like I was like dead set on you hand sand or nothing. You hand sander, you get out of here. Don't even bring up orbital sanders. I mean, forever. We would never. It was like we would curse someone for saying, "How come we can't use an orbital sander?" I've talked about that. Um, but it all comes down to now, especially with a power drive. Never more important than any time before. I think is grit sequence. The power drive will do the job. It is an amazing, amazing tool. It comes down to grit sequence, and the marriage line between the wall line and the field, and getting your recipe together. What is your formula, and sticking with that. And man, it's just you can produce furniture grade floors now. I mean, really, we used to say before, it's not a piece of furniture; it's a wood floor, but it damn sure can be a piece of wood furniture now. So,
Yeah, I'll tell you what. Sometimes people would forget, and I wouldn't say anything or whatever with the class. I am going to be Mister back in between grits changes from now on. I mean, I'm going to be adamant about it. When you start looking at what it looks like and what it doesn't look like, even even Bona has a great picture of a floor that was sanded to 120. Oh, are you leaving?
No, I'm with you.
Did you just fall asleep?
No, no.
The floor was the floor, and I think we talked about it. We might even put a picture up on the show before, but it was sanded to 120 and then vacuumed. And they looked at that under a microscope and took a picture of it.
Mm-hmm.
Then they did the same job, finished with 120 and hit it with a Tampico brush. Absolutely amazing how much the difference in the picture is unbelievable of what it looks like vacuumed, but what it looked like Tampico'd. And that was one of the things that they really stressed in this article is not just vacuuming, but brush vacuuming.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to say, I wonder where they're at because the other half of the people out there like to use the felt
Mm-hmm.
and not the brush. This they were really leaning towards the brush.
Yep.
What are you? Felt or brush?
Brush.
Yeah,
I
I'm a
think
brush
brush too. Yeah. You know what I love about this episode, Rob, is that you've been in this industry forever, and Lord only knows how old you are, and
61.
and you get excited about knowledge when you learn something like this that you can share with your students, and you still get excited about it, and you're still seeking knowledge and trying to find out things, and I love that about you, man. You never stop learning. Knowledge is power. You know what I mean? And we talked about upselling, even to be able to tell the client, I love this story, man. You sand the floors. If you don't vacuum between coats and extract that dust out of there that gets into microscopically into all the little pores, the next grit will never get down there to get past all that properly to sand all that out. You're setting the table for a beautiful surface for applying finish or your stain coats, and you're setting it up for success. And you get that message out to your clients, and they'll appreciate the craftsmanship in it. People, I'd love to see other craftsmen. I was watching a guy shoe horses the other day, and I was thinking, man, all the experience in that dude's hands, everything. I seen brick masons, how fast they are putting the mud in there, putting the brick down, taking the mud back out. Any craftsman, if you don't do that for a living, most everybody appreciates what they do. A lot of clients don't understand what we do, and they, you know what I mean, they may see what we're doing, whatever, but they don't know the intricacies and how every step is so important and how many steps there are involved in what we do. So when we talk about upselling and adding quality to the job and being able to get that across the client, I think it is so important. It also helps them appreciate everything that we do. When you see a guy doing all these steps, just like you said in the last episode where you said the lady was so impressive on the estimate. You know what I mean? Clients appreciate that kind of stuff. You're adding value. So I'll say this, it is so important. And if English isn't your second language, or English isn't your first language, pictures go miles sometimes if you have a good, a professional looking portfolio. But if not, and you're not good at this, I think you need to practice your pitch to your presentation to your clients, just like you practice anything else. You know what I mean? This is your chance. I've said it 1,000 times, and I'm always going to say it. That half hour you have in front of that client to sell yourself is a difference between at the end of the year, it was okay, we got by, whatever, or we killed it this year. Things are looking like they're slowing down right now in the economy. You know, I've been all through the West Coast in the last number of weeks, and you start seeing it slow down. How are you going to handle that? How are you going to adjust for that? One of the ways, I think, is by upselling, showing that you are above and beyond the next guy down the road. And these are the type of things. That's why we really appreciate our listeners. And we joke around a lot, but you bet your butt we're damn serious about it when it comes right down to it. We both love this craft. We're amazed. I talk about the TikTok videos we see all the time, and And people say, I'll go on there and go, man, that's a beautiful floor. And probably people say, gosh, Wayne says that all the time, but I mean it every time. I loved seeing it, man. I love seeing the craftsmanship, and we want to see people be successful. I mean, when Rob teaches someone in a class and they come back and go, man, I can't believe I was never doing it that way, and now I do it that way. I'm so much faster than I used to be. We love that stuff, man. So I hope it helps. Hope you get something out of the episode. Rob and I sure love talking to everybody across and we appreciate all the mail, the emails we get, and the text messages and the phone calls and what have you. It means a lot to us, and we appreciate your listenership. And please do stay tuned for another episode. This has been another episode of On the Floor with Wayne and Rob.